is this beautiful edge worked with single crochets, double crochets together, and chains. On this video, I'm going to teach you how to do the Bronte Fan Edging. I'll be using a 4mm hook and some acrylic yarn size 4. Okay, so for this design, you want to start with a foundation chain that's a multiple of 17 plus 3. In my case, I have 37 chains. We're going to start with row 1. For row 1, you're going to skip the first chain and then do 1 single crochet into the next. So you skip the first chain into the next single crochet. And now you want to do 1 single crochet into each chain of the foundation chain. So just 1 single crochet all the way down, and I'll see you when you're done. Okay, I just did a single crochet into each one of the chains of the foundation chain. This here is the end of row 1. For row 2, we're going to chain 1 and flip your work. This row is also quite simple. You just want to do 1 single crochet into each one of the stitches. So I will do a few with you. We're gonna go into the first stitch and do a single crochet, and then do 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way down. So I'll do that off camera and I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, here's the end of row 2. I've done 1 single crochet into each one of the stitches. So now we can move on to row 3. For row 3, we're going to start with a chain 1 and flip our work. We're going to work 1 single crochet into each of the first 8 stitches. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we can begin the row repeat. The repeat starts by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skipping 3 stitches and then doing 1 single crochet into each of the next 14 stitches. So you skip 1, 2, 3 into the next single crochet. And that was my first one out of 14 that I need. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And now that finishes the row repeat. So going back to the beginning of the repeat, I would chain 4, skip 3 stitches, and then if you have more stitches, I'm going to be at the end here, but if you have more stitches to go through, then you would skip 3 and then do 1 single crochet into each of the next 14 stitches. In my case here, when you're at the end, you should be left with 11 stitches. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So once you do your final repeat with the 14 single crochets, then you would chain 3, which I already have done. And then we're going to be skipping, we're chaining 4, not 3. Chaining 4, then skipping 3, and then doing 1 single crochet into each of the last 8 stitches. So skip 3, and then 1 single crochet, and you should have 8 stitches to go. So that was my second, third, fourth, fifth, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Now this here is the end of row 3. For row 4, we're going to start by chaining 3, which counts as a half double crochet and a chain 1. And flip your work. You're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and then you're going to do 1 single crochet into each of the next 3. So we skip 1 and 2, and into each of the next 3, 1 single crochet. That's my second, and that is my third. Okay. Now we're going to be chaining 1, and we're going to work around the next chain 4 space, which is this one here. So around the chain space, you're going to be working a double crochet and a chain 1 6 times. So we're going to do around the chain space a double crochet, and a chain 1. That's my first one, and you need a total of 6. So I got to do 5 more, double crochet, chain 1. Double crochet, chain 1. That's my 3rd repetition. 4th repetition. 5th repetition, and 6th repetition. Double crochet, chain 1. So I just did that 6 times. Continuing the repeat, we're going to be skipping 3 stitches and then doing 1 single crochet into each of the next 3. So we skip 1, 2, 3, and then do 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Okay, so now this is where the repeat begins. So the repeat starts by doing a chain 3, skipping 2 stitches, and then doing 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So skip 2, and then 1 single crochet into each of the next 3. That's 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to chain 1. And around the next chain 4 space, you're going to work a double crochet and a chain 1 6 times. So let's do that. Chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. This is my 4th repetition. Six, or let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 1 more. 6. Okay. So once you do that, then to continue the repeat, you're going to be skipping 3 single crochets and then doing 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So skipping 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And that there ends the repeat. So if you have more stitches, then you would go back to the beginning of the repeat. I'm going to verbalize it for you because I can't do it. But the repeat starts by chaining 3, then skipping 2 stitches, and then doing 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Then you're going to chain 1. Then around the next chain 4 space, you're going to be doing a double crochet, chain 1 6 times. After that, you skip 3 stitches and do 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Now, when you're at the very end here, you're going to be left with 2 stitches. And we're going to be working, after you do the 3 single crochets of the repeat, the very end of the repeat, we're going to chain 1. And we're going to be doing a half double crochet into the very last stitch of the row. So you skip 1. And into the last stitch, a half double crochet. Now that there is the end of row 4. For row 5, we're going to chain 1 and flip your work. You're going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch. So 1 single crochet. Then we're going to chain 2. And now we're going to be working a bubble stitch and a chain 2. So a bubble stitch is going to basically be a double crochet 3 together. I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to be finding the chain space that is, so not this chain 1 over here, but this chain space over here. So right before, I'm going to call this a fan of double crochets and chain 1 spaces. So into this first one here, we're going to be working our first bubble stitch. So for that, you're going to yarn over, go into the chain space, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. Yarn over, go into the same space, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. And one more time, yarn over, into the space, grab the yarn and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop. You have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. And that is your bubble stitch, which basically is just a double crochet 3 together. Now we're going to chain 2. And you want to do a bubble stitch and a chain 2 going into each one of the chain spaces. So you'll have a total of 7 bubble stitches. I'll do it a couple more times with you. We find the next chain space between the double crochets and work a bubble stitch, which is a double crochet 3 together. We're yarning over, inserting our hook, grabbing the yarn and pulling up a loop and pulling through 2 and stopping right there, a total of 3 times. You're going to have 4 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. And then a chain 2. Now do that again into the next chain space. Double crochet 3 together or bubble. Four loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 2. And so we're creating these bubbles into the chain spaces. Again, you're going to finish with 7. So I'm going to do 4 more and I'll see you when I'm done. Remember to do those chain 2s in between the bubble stitches as well. Okay, I just did my 7th repetition of the bubble stitch and a chain 2. And that's into the very last chain 1 space that there is to the left of the last double crochet of the fan. So now we are actually going to start the row repeat. The repeat starts by doing 1 single crochet into the next chain 3 arch, which is this one here. So into the chain space, 1 single crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to work those bubble stitches and chain 2 into the chain spaces of the fan. So we are going to find the first chain space, which is here. And then we're going to be doing a bubble stitch. So into that chain space, a double crochet 3 together, which you should know how to do by now. And then a chain 2. So I'm going to repeat this into each one of the chain spaces, a bubble stitch, chain 2, all the way down, all the way like around the fan. And I'm going to be left with 7 bubble stitches. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, I just did those bubble stitches and chain 2s in between 7 times. And so now to continue the repeat, that ends the repeat there. So if you had more stitches, then you'd go back to the beginning of the repeat and I'll verbalize it for you because I'm at the end here. But after you do the last bubble stitch, chain 2, then you repeat from the beginning of the row repeat. It starts by doing 1 single crochet into the next chain 3 arch, then a chain 2, and then you're going to work those bubble stitch, chain 2, 7 times into the chain spaces that are between the double crochets. You do that, that ends the repeat, and then you can go back to the beginning again and do it however many times you need. When you're at the end, however, you're going to be doing your last bubble and chain 2. And let me see here. We're going to be having these 3 stitches in the turning chain. So once you're at the end, you've chained 2. You're going to be doing 1 single crochet into the, into the turning chain. Okay, here's what we got. The 3 single crochets and then the turning chain. This turning chain is a chain 3 because remember how it counted as a half double crochet chain 1. So you're going to be skipping all 3 single crochets. You're going to skip one of the chains, and into the second chain, you're going to do your final single crochet. Now this here is the end of row 5. Now we can move on to our last row, row 6. For row 6, we're going to start with a chain 1, and you want to flip your work. You're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Now you want to do 2 single crochets into the first chain 2 space. Now we're going to do 1 single crochet on top of the first bubble stitch. So on top of that first bubble, 1 single crochet. And now we're going to do the following repetition. You want to do 2 single crochets around the next chain 2 space. So around the next chain 2 space, 2 single crochets. Okay. Now we're going to do the following repetition twice. You're going to chain 3 and then do 2 single crochets around the next chain 2 space. And do that again, chain 3 2 single crochets around the next chain 2 space. Now we're going to chain 5. And now you want to do the following repetition twice. You're going to do 2 single crochets around the next chain 2 space. And then a chain 3. Do that again, 2 single crochets around the next chain 2 space. And then a chain 3. Let's see here. Now you want to do 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space. And now we have the last bubble here of the 7 of the arch. So now you just want to do 1 single crochet on top of that last bubble stitch. And this is going to give you those kind of chains to give you that detail at the edge. Now we are going to be, let me see, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space. So the one right after the bubble, you want to do 2 single crochets. So that's 1 and 2. Okay, and now here's where the row repeat starts. The repeat starts by skipping 1 single crochet and then doing 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space. So that's 1 and 2. Now you want to do 1 single crochet on top of the next bubble. Now you want to do 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space. So that's 1 and 2. Now we're going to do the repeat of chain 3 and 2 single crochet into the next chain space twice. So chain 3, 2 single crochets into the next chain space. Chain 3, 2 single crochets into the next chain space. And now you're going to chain 5 and do the following repetition twice, 2 single crochets into the next chain space and then a chain 3. So 2 single crochets, chain 3, do that again, 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space, chain 3. Now we want to do 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space. That's 1 and 2. And now on top of the last bubble stitch, you do 1 single crochet. Now we do 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space. And this ends the repeat. So if you have more stitches, as like we've been doing every single row, you go back to the beginning of the repeat. I'll verbalize it for you. This one's a little bit trickier, but the repeat starts by skipping 1 single crochet and then doing 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space. Then you're going to do 1 single crochet on top of the next bubble, which is the first one of the arch. Then you're going to do 2 single crochets into the next chain 2. Then you're going to do a chain 3 and 2 single crochets into the next chain space twice. So chain 3, 2 single crochets into the next chain space, then a chain 5, and then you're going to repeat the following twice. You're going to do 2 single crochets into the next space, chain 3, and then do it again. 2 single crochets into the next space, chain 3. Then you're going to finish off by doing 2 single crochets into the next chain 2 space, 1 on top of the last bubble, and then 2 into the next chain 2 space. So hopefully that makes sense. If you need to go back and see it a couple of times or maybe write it down because it's a bit of a tricky repeat. Now when you get to the end of the row, you'll have done your final 2 single crochets into the chain 2 space, but you have a final stitch here. You have your single crochet. So you want to do 1 single crochet on top of it to finish off this row. This here is the end of row 6. You can go ahead and cut off your yarn and thread your ends through. Okay, and here we have it. Look how stunning this is. This is going to be like a bigger edging, very royal, very elegant detail to add to the bottom of your work. You can see those bubble stitches and then those chains kind of around it. It looks super pretty. Hey, while you're at it, why don't you just subscribe to my channel? Just do it. Just do it.